Hi guys and girls, welcome back to Blue Art Creative, where we're working on this V-bit Photocarve of Charlie Footsie Flopsy keys. That's our little dog. Hopefully this comes out okay. The last video we sealed up this MDF boards, because MDF, it leaks air. Anyway, it's all sealed up, looks really good. And what's really cool about this particular sealer that I use, which isn't available anymore, unfortunately, it actually stiffens up all the wood, so it helps to, you know, these very fine lines helps to basically put a bit of structure into them, so they feel really firm. Anyway, we're going to put black resin over this. Make sure you mix your resin very well. This one is a little bit different. It's an Australian brand and it basically has no heat in it at all. But the trade-off is it takes a very, very long time to dry. So something like this is going to take at least 48 hours to dry. So it's a big trade-off, but it's a very good resin. Still got a little few air bubbles, but we're not going to worry about that because this one sort of self-pops and releases anyway. So here we go. We're just going to pour a little bit, and then I'm just using a bit of cardboard just to spread it around, and we'll see how we go. Now I haven't made this too dense because I didn't necessarily want to have it as a pure black, because I just think that it will be too much of a contrast. But anyway, we'll see how we go. And that's looking quite nice so far. The trick is making, you know what the really hard part about this one was trying to work out how much resin I was going to make. I've made roughly about 160 mil. Whether that's going to be enough or not, I really don't know. But we will soon find out. It's an incredibly hard thing to measure, but anyway, we will give it a shot and see what happens. It's like with everything in life, you can just have a little bit of a go with it and see what happens with it. And if good thing is, if we've got to mix more, well, that's what we do. I'm not worried too much if we've got too much, but because what's really interesting, guys, and I'll show you in a little bit, is that when you're doing these types of jobs, especially with the resin, then you're having a hard time calculating how much resin you actually need. It's not a bad way to go is to have some other molds ready. And I'll show you what I mean. They're just silicon molds, and you can just fill them up in big shapes of stars. I've got ones of unicorns and stars and all sorts of things. I'll show you those in a moment once we get this all done. But it's just handy because they can be like little gift trinkets, or they can be incorporated into other artworks or other projects. Why not? That's what it's all about. We're all trying to be a bit creative, and we're all trying to, make something to establish, something, or make a little bit of money out of this, or it's just, it's a hobby, something that we enjoy, as we wouldn't be doing it, would we, guys and girls? Now, I don't know what it's like in your neck of the woods today, but here in Shepparton, which is in Australia, in the southern states, down in Victoria, we're in the northern region, but it is just, it's rain and it's quite miserable. We're supposed to be at the end of winter and starting into spring, but it seems like winter hasn't quite done with us yet, so we just have to put up with a little bit more. It's quite cool today. For those who live in the world of Celsius will understand that we're somewhere in the vicinity of 10 degrees today. and to be honest, it actually doesn't even feel like that. So I'm out here. This is certainly not going to help this as far as like the drying time goes either. But yeah, look, you make the best of whatever situation you're dealing with, don't you? And this is what we're doing today. Something that will come up soon is that I want to do a little shed tour. I've had quite a few challenges in the sense of space on my property, where I'm just basically a normal suburban house block, and it's challenging because I only got like a shed, which is, you guys who are in Imperials, you can do your own maths on this, but I only have a shed which is basically 2.6 meters by 3.5 meters, and so she's not very big, but within that I have my CNC machine, which we'll go over. I have my miter saw station, I have my table saw, I have vacuums and dust collectors and clampings systems in there as well, and yeah, you'll get to see all that. This is actually not looking too bad. You can actually, I'm not sure what's showing up on camera, but I'm starting to see how this is actually going to turn out. I just want to put a little bit more on there before we go into the molds, just to make sure that we've got enough, coverage here as well. Because, when you deal with MDF, even though you seal it, sometimes it's still, I've noticed, still can soak up a fair bit. So you got to make sure you, where possible, just to overfill it a little bit, because it's easier to sand it off. And this is one thing I haven't decided at this stage, whether I'm going to sand this off or whether I'm going to flatten it off through the CNC. I do have a thicknesser, but I found with this particular resin that if I run this through the thicknesser, which I don't understand why, but it's got a helical head, but it chips out the resin. So obviously it's resin, once it dries, it gets a little bit hard, and then it just kind of pulls out, unfortunately. But anyway, that's the way it goes. Anyway, we're done on that. I will get you these silicone molds and I'll show you what they look like. So we have this one here, which is a unicorn's head. Done a few of those, they're pretty cool. Good for little gifts. Stars, a couple of the stars I've wrecked, but the stars are always handy to put in things. I've got cactus as well, so that's pretty handy. And that's any leftover resin, it goes into these little molds, and I have a little container which I put them all in, and they can be trinkets to give away, or to add, you drill a hole in them and a little bit of yarn on that connected to a card. Just makes a nice little add-on to it. Now I'm just going to let this sit for a bit. I do use a little propane thing. What I do know is that you guys don't know, propane is heavier than air. So if you're cold, and we're 10 degrees at the moment, when I go to fire this up, it's not going to fire because it's sitting at the bottom of the tank, and because it's heavier and colder and denser than the air, it doesn't come up out of the torch, and therefore you will get no flame. So I've got to take this inside, I've got to warm it up, then I'll come out and torch it. Anyway, the next video you will see is this dried, and also we will then go on the next journey of discovery and start to either sand it or CNC it off. Okay, we'll see you soon. Thanks guys.